Hello everybody, I'm Jimmy Ellis. I'm in Broken Arrow. I'm going to demo another way to do flaw sizing for deep ID connected flaws with 70 shear, similar to the way I do fast sizing, but with 70 shear this time. So I'm going to start by recalling my 70-degree shear cal. Let's see, open, contents, recall, unfreeze. All right, I'm going to recall my cal, check my cal, set my gain. So I'm going to check my cal. Go to the four marks for the four side drill holes. When I go to the mark for the 1, I'm right at 100 deep. Go to the index point for the 2, I'm right at 200 deep. Go to the index point for the 3, I'm at 3. Index point on the 4, I'm right at 4. And I'm going to set my gain. I'm going to be working with the notch block, 300 thick, so I'll go to the 300 hole. And I want that to be about 50% screen height. So recall my cal, check my cal, set my gain, I'm good to go. So I'm going to be doing ID flaw sizing on the notch block. Just to refresh your memory, if you can see this. On the 210 thousandths deep ID notch, the depth to that tip is 90. On the 180 thousandths deep ID notch, the depth to that tip is 120. On the 150, the depth to the tip is 150. On the 120, the depth to that tip is 180. So I want to keep the depth to the tip is what I want to keep in mind. So I'm going to start by looking at the 90 deep tip, and I'm walking over the top of that flaw with my 70. I wouldn't really call this tip diffraction, I'm just walking over the top of the flaw. And I'm going to take 6 dB out so I can see the top of the flaw, and where I maximize going over the top is right about at about 120. It actually is 90 deep, but with this cal I usually end up seeing it about 120. So I'm going to go to my zero function and zero that in until I get the right number for it. It is 90 deep to that, so I want it to say 90. There we go. Now, as I walk over the top of each of these, they'll all come right in. This is the 90 deep tip, and where I go over the top of it is right at about 90 deep. The next one is the 180. The depth to this tip is 120, and where I go over the top is right about 120. The depth to the top of the 150. Go over the top. See where I go over the top here. I'm going to put that 6 dB back in that I had taken out earlier. And it's right there, right at 150 deep. And then the 120 notch, the depth to this tip is 180. Now we're starting to see, the two signals. This is the corner trap signal. As I push forward, I can see this first signal. That's where I'm walking up the face of the flaw, or the notch. And where I go over the top of this 180 deep one, it's the front signal that I want to be focused on, not the back one. And where I go over the top is pretty much right at 180. And then as they, when they're deeper than this, they get harder to separate out from the corner. Like this is 210 deep. Which I can see the face signal going over the top and the corner. As long as I can separate that out, I can do use this technique. And where I'm going over the top with that signal is just about 210. So this technique works really sweet. It doesn't work for the shallow ones, it really works for the deep ones. If you have any questions about this, give me a call. Thanks a lot.